We heard from two of Dr. James Heaps' victims who claim when he performed the pelvic and breast exams, they just weren't clinical. They were sexual. They were assault. Now, also joining us is Gabby and Nicole. They too were victims of Dr. James Heaps and claim he also physically and emotionally violated them under the guise of medical care. So thanks to both of you for joining us. Now, you've been listening to everything we've been talking about. And Nicole, it's sickeningly familiar, right? I mean, you listen to this and the whole pattern, the whole interaction, it's an MO is what it is, right?
First of all, thank you for having me.
You bet.
It's incredibly difficult. When something is happening to you that you are completely not expecting, being in a professional medical environment, the last thing that you think is that you're not going to be safe. And so when something happens that is so incredibly horrific, you don't want to believe it. So even though your instincts are right on, you tell yourself a different story. For me personally, it took some time to report. It was difficult saying out loud what had happened.
Yeah, well, it is, because first you have to process it. It's hard to wrap your mind around, right? You start to second guess, you start to reprocess, run through your head, but something nags at you. You just know this is not right. And
Absolutely.
then when you hear, yeah, it ain't just me, then all of a sudden things start to fall in place.
Well, in my case, I didn't know
You
that I
didn't know the
was,
others.
no, I had no idea. I came forward because I needed to do that for myself.
What did you think when you found out that there were so many, hundreds and hundreds of others?
I was horrified. I had no idea the scope of what had happened.
Yeah, well, it's hard to imagine. Gabby, you actually were employed
Correct.
as a medical assistant, right? Not for him, but you were employed at the medical
Correct.
center, right?
First of all, thank you for having us here and giving us this platform, as it is hard for me and everyone else. This is something really hard. You trust in these institutions and you think that by reporting it, someone's gonna come to help, and no one does. And you get to a point where you think it's me. I did something wrong. Maybe I'm doing things wrong and he's right. And like they said, this doctor was highly recommended. He's the best of the best. If you go somewhere else, the chances of your treatment are not going to be as good as staying with him. And what I went through was horrible. He used a ultrasound device and did wrong things to where I was bleeding, and he said it was normal. I've had pelvic ultrasounds, and this never happened. So I knew something was wrong.
And of course, he used certain devices that have legitimate use, but he used them in an illegitimate way.
Correct.
He used them in a sexual way.
Correct. So I reported it to UCLA. I reported to the right people, and no one ever contacted me. So I thought I was the only one. When I found out that it was more than one, I fell to the floor. I dropped because I couldn't believe it.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.